arrived at the final weekend of the 2016 U.S. Open, and that can only mean one thing. There's just 3 episodes left in the U.S. Open Morning Drive presented by Mercedes-Benz. Welcome, tennis fan. I'm Kevin, and he's Mount Washington. Well, we know that the semifinal action for the women on Thursday night was indeed a spectacle. There was a lot of intrigue, the potential for a winner-takes-all final, 1 versus 2, for not only a major title, but for the #1 ranking in women's tennis. But it was not to be. World #1 Serena Williams taking on the Czech Republic Karolina Pliskova, looking for 187 consecutive weeks at #1, wasn't going to happen. For the 2nd straight year, Williams crashes out in the semifinals. Pliskova got the better of her in straight sets.
She really did, and there was a lot of drama in this match, but it really wasn't the drama that we were expecting. We were looking forward to Serena breaking the record, getting Grand Slam number 23, but it just wasn't the case. But there's no question she wasn't 100% physically in that match. But the win last night was less about Serena Williams and more about what Pliskova did on the court. I think back to Cincinnati when she beat the #3 player in the world, followed by the #2 player in the world, Kerber, in the final. Last night was no fluke. This woman has the goods. She has the big serve, she can handle the pace, she can give the pace, and she really took it to Serena. I look back just a couple of rounds when she beat Venus Williams. That was a big statement win for her. And then to back it up in this semifinal on the biggest stage in the world to win, she's for real.
You're right about it not being a fluke, because Pliskova is now riding an 11-match win streak, which includes a number of wins versus top 10 opponents. But most of all, now a historical note. She becomes just the 4th woman in history to beat Venus and Serena in the same major, joining Martina Hingis, Justine Henin, and Kim Clijsters. And now we can't go forward without thinking about what Serena Williams has accomplished in her 186 weeks at #1, tying her for the most consecutive all-time with Steffi Graf. In that run, 24 titles, 8 of them majors, just 19 losses.
Well, when I look at her career, what we have in the media have done and what she has done, she has set the bar so high that when she goes throughout the year and doesn't win 2 or 3 majors, oh, what's wrong with Serena? Well, there's nothing wrong. It is very difficult to win a single major, let alone multiple majors, let alone the fact that she's actually trying to break all of these records. So she has set the bar really high, but make no mistake, she has had a tremendous year here in 2016, just not the year that she wanted.
That meant that the 2nd semifinal of the night, a little less drama, though a lot on the line for the 2-seed Angelique Kerber. She already knew stepping on the court she'd be the #1 player in the world on Monday. But more importantly, she was seeking her 3rd major final of the year. Standing in her way, good friend and 2-time runner-up at the U.S. Open, Caroline Wozniacki. Kerber came out hot, as we would expect. She got out to a 4-love start, never looked back. Caro chipped away, but ultimately in the end, the German prevailed.
In this match, Kerber really did what she needed to do. I actually think her best tennis is still ahead of her, but I look at the tennis that she played against Wozniacki. She served good, she returned good, she got up early in the first set, lost a couple of games, but really got back on track, did what she needed to do in the win. I expect her to play actually a little bit better in the bigger match in the final.
3 days from now, she'll be the #1 player in the world, and a historical note for her as well, just the 5th woman to have all 3 of her first major finals occur in 1 year, something fellow German Stephanie Graf did back in 1987. So the women's final is set, Kerber versus Pliskova. What about the men's semifinals today? Well, Novak Djokovic, defending champion and world #1 in his own right, has had a pretty easy time of things. He came in the U.S. Open saying, I wish I'd had even a little more time off, and he's certainly gotten it. He's only completed 9 sets, including 4 in his opening round victory over Jerzy Janowicz. Now he finds himself on the doorstep of another final at the U.S. Open.
Well, I think people are going to be a little disappointed that they haven't seen more tennis from Djokovic in this championship. He's the #1 player in the world, and they want to see the #1 player. But in this semifinal against Gael Monfils, I expect him to come out and do what he always does. Serve good, return good, move good. It's going to be a very athletic match. See a lot of sliding around the courts. I wouldn't be surprised if you see these guys doing the splits a couple of times. But for Gael Monfils in this match, is it one of those statement matches I like to talk about? He's never been to the final of a major. This is kind of the gatekeeper, so to speak. He needs to get over one of these big matches and a big win in a big situation to get to the final, to have the opportunity to win a major.
He certainly performed well, hasn't dropped a set en route to his 2nd career major semifinal, 2008 Roland Garros, the only other time. He has an 0-12 record against Djokovic, but for the Frenchman, there is one caveat. Since winning his biggest title in Washington, he's been on a 19-3 run that gets him to this point.
He's playing really good tennis right now, but when I look at the matchup, What can Monfils do that's going to hurt Djokovic? Yes, he has a big serve, but he's going up against arguably the best returner in the game. He moves very well, but so does Djokovic. He has power, but I'd say Djokovic has a little bit more power. So when you look at it on paper, without question, Djokovic wins this match. But I think Monfils is going to have to play to the upper end of his ability if he's going to be successful and get to the final.
Their first ever meeting was here at the U.S. Open in 2005. It was in the third round. Djokovic would win that. He would ultimately lose before the semifinals. He's reached the last four every year since. Well, in the other semifinal, it is Stan Wawrinka versus Kei Nishikori, both coming off emotional wins in the quarterfinals. Wawrinka taking down 2009 champion Juan Martín del Potro, and for Kei Nishikori, an electric win over Andy Murray, the 2012 champion. Something's got to give in this matchup as they both try to get to the championship round.
They both want to get to the finals here, but for a couple of different reasons. I think for Nishikori, there's a part of him that wants to prove to himself and prove to the world that when he was in the final previously, well, that wasn't a fluke. I've never thought it was a fluke, but he wants to get back to a final to show people that, hey, I've been here before, I can do it again, I belong in the conversation with the best players in the world. And for Wawrinka, he's already been there. He's won a couple of majors, and he's beaten the best players in the world in the majors. I think this match is going to be more about what Wawrinka can do. Can he serve good? Can he return good? Can he get that backhand up the line working? It's going to be a very grueling physical match between the two. I actually give the edge to Stan.
Yeah, and for Wawrinka, we know, as you said, two-time major champion, Australian Open, Roland Garros. This is his third major semifinal. So he's perfect in this round, whereas Kei Nishikori in his second U.S. Open semifinal got to the final round 2 years ago. He's looking to remain perfect here. Well, that'll do it for our semifinal preview, but we can't miss out on our Twitter question that came in. And Mal, this is posed towards you. @Fried Calipari wants to know that in 10 years' time, when they're kicking back on the Barca loungers, sipping some sweet tea, who will have the most major titles between Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, and Novak Djokovic?
Well, we don't actually have to wait 10 years. We actually already know who's going to have the most slams, and that's going to be Federer. He has 17 majors. There's no way anyone is actually going to catch him. Nadal hasn't won a major in just over 2 years. I actually don't think he's going to win any more, including the French Open. And Djokovic, on the other hand, has 12 majors. I think he still has a couple more in him. No chance he reaches 17.
So Roger Federer, the all-time winningest male major champion in singles play.
It's already decided.
Well, you heard it here first, and that's it. Roger Federer will have the most major titles of all time for the men's side. Well, we do appreciate your questions. Thank you, @Fried Calipari. Continue to send your queries to #MBDrive. We'll get Mal or Todd Martin to answer it in our final 2 episodes. That'll do it for this episode of U.S. Open Morning Drive, presented by Mercedes-Benz on a very hot, humid, sweltering men's semifinal day. We say so long for now from New York.